All right, so this is going to be a full walkthrough of all the features of Google Maps. There's lots of hidden features, lots of cool things that you and your students won't know about. I'll leave points where you can pause and let students explore and find things on maps. So let's get started. We're going to go to Maps to start. Just Google Maps and get searching. The first skill that I like to show students is just how to move side to side, which is holding and dragging with two hands up and down, or using the arrow keys side to side, up and down. If it ever doesn't work, always with maps, whether you're in Street View or in this view, you click on the center at least once and then your arrow key should work. So if it ever doesn't work, students can troubleshoot by clicking in the center once. So moving up and down, side to side. Let students practice that. I really like the ability to grab and drag. Zooming in, a lot of students are on Chromebooks, which is a two-finger swipe, and on any other mouse pad too. So that's a zoom in and zoom out. So bring your fingers down, we'll zoom you in, and bring your two fingers up, we'll zoom you out. There's also, of course, the zoom in and out buttons. And just clicking on any area will also zoom you in to that area. 2 clicks bring you a little bit closer. So practice that with your students, moving side to side, zooming in and out. So the next thing I'd like us to do is to zoom as far out as we can go, and your students will see flat Earth. Never a good idea. No flat Earth. So we want to go to the globe view that's on the side. Make sure it's enabled. A lot of students it'll be enabled already, but make sure that globe view is enabled, which is super fun to go zoom in and out like that. You can rotate the Earth with your arrow keys again. If it doesn't work, click once in the center, up and down. Now we're going to click on the satellite view, which is going to give us the satellite imagery of the Earth. And even more fun, this next step, we're going to go all the way out as far as we can go with the satellite view turned on and nothing searched. And it's going to give us planets. And I like to take students to the International Space Station. So let's all the way out in satellite view, click on the International Space Station, and we're going to practice walking around. Now you can use the arrow keys and forward walks into the other rooms, side to side looks, or you can use 2 fingers, click and drag to move your view around. So let's practice walking around the International Space Station. Pause it here, get out to the International Space Station and walk around. Okay, we want our students to return back to Earth, so we're going to go up to the left-hand side, and the back arrow always takes us out of Street View. And let's zoom in a little bit. Now let's talk about Street View and Pegman. So Pegman's over here in the corner, and it's really interesting that you can click Pegman and see all of the Street View that's available in the entire world. Sometimes it's easier to see this in map view, so you can see as you zoom around the world where there is Street View and where there is no Street View. Some countries like Russia didn't have Street View until just last year, and now they're just covered in it. And some countries, they don't allow it, but certain cities allow it. So it's neat to see all the Street View. There are a few Easter eggs you may want to point out to your students. This is a little bit of an extra thing, but if you go to Loch Ness, for example, Pegman is Nessie. If you go to Buckingham Palace, Pegman is the Queen. If you go to Area 51, you guessed it, it's an alien. And Hawaii, you can see a little mer person. So those are some fun Easter eggs. But the best way to get your Street View is not to drag Pegman. It's to click one time, reveal that place, and just use your mouse to specifically click on a location. And something to point out, anywhere that you see a line, that means the streetcar has driven. And anywhere you see a dot, that means someone has uploaded that to the Street View app. And so that is one picture. You can't walk around in there. The lines, you can walk down the roads. So generally, I would say that the dots are more interesting. And there are some really interesting vehicles, too, that they've used to get this Street View. So wherever the streetcar can't go, they have some other methods of transportation. So here's an example by Calumet. Here's a dog sled Street View taken on the ice. I'll show you where that is, actually, because it's pretty cool to see how far out they went out into the bay. There are some other really interesting ones. This one's a camel in United Arab Emirates, I think. Here's one on the Colorado River on a boat. Here's one in Wood Buffalo National Park in Canada, which has a quad. And Google has actually done a street view of every national park in Canada. You can even go underwater and swim with the dolphins in Street View. So it is time for your students to look at some Street View. And of course, you guessed, the first place they want to find when they're looking on Street View is going to be their house. So let's find our house. Here's my house. You can, used to live there, it's very green. You can type the address in if you want, or you can just find it from the satellite view and just locate where it is. But either way, find your house if that's pretty quick for you. Find your school. For some students, if they're in a very new neighborhood, they might not have Street View at all. So your students are going to now find their house and or the school, and we'll meet you back here after you pause the video and see how you did with that. Another interesting aspect of Street View is that you can time travel. So if you see a clock up in the top left, that means that more than one Street View has been taken of that area or that street. So if you click here, you can see all the times it's been taken. So this one's been taken 7 or 8 times. And when you click on the center, you can go back in the past. So I can go back to before my house or my school, maybe, or this building was created and constructed, and I can go through time. So we get a little time travel aspect, which is really neat. It goes all the way back to about 2007 or 2008. 2009 is when it became really common. So a lot of these you'll see up to 10 or 11 years of Street View. If you're unlucky, your house has been only done once, so I'm sorry, but that can happen. On a related note, but totally outside of Google Earth, there is a Google Earth time-lapse engine, which takes this satellite view from 1984 to present, well, I think it's 2018, and amalgamates it into this time-lapse. So this is really cool. You can go to locations all around the world and see how it's changed in the last 30 years. So you can see roads being constructed, you can see, deforestation, you can see glaciers moving, melting, and all things like that. So really interesting. A side note that you can look at for some of your lessons, just how cities and other places have changed over time with the Google Earth engine. So take a look, travel in time on Street View. You could also take a little aside and look at the Google Earth engine time lapse and see how other places have changed over time. So another feature of maps, and this might be my favorite feature, is if you're in satellite view, you can fly. So we're going to fly around. And to do that, got to make sure, of course, that this globe view is enabled so that you see the 3D, and that toggles you between them. But you can also just hold down the Control key or the Shift key. I like the Shift key, and that actually changes the angle. You might have to just grab one time or click 3D. So you click 3D or hold down the Shift key and drag. You can drag up to move your camera and drag down to move your camera down. Or you can use the arrow keys, hold down Shift and arrow key down pans your camera up, arrow key up pans your camera down, and then you can rotate side to side. So what's really nice about this is you can explore geographical features by flying, change the angle, and you can fly around. See the cool lakes around Jasper. See mountains. You can go to interesting places around the world like the Statue of Liberty or the Eiffel Tower. This would be fantastic for looking at structures around the world. Flying around, see Manhattan's all built. And it's fascinating how they do this. This is all done with cameras on a plane that fly over top, and they take out all the clouds, all the dogs, all the cars, all the people, and they render these 3D images of these places. And even if a city has not been done, it's likely that at least the geography will have been done, so you can explore the geography of a place, if not the actual city itself. So flying around takes a little bit of getting used to, but once the students are able to do that, it's really powerful to explore places you see in textbooks or that you're studying and being able to fly around them or through them. So that's the final feature. I'll show one more thing actually after this. So explore flying, and then we'll talk about a couple other kind of hidden things that are here in maps. A couple final things you can do. One is if you right click anywhere, you can measure distance. So it goes from wherever you had clicked, and then you can click and add other points. You could do entire routes, or if you go back to where you started, entire shapes. So you could do perimeter and area of certain things as a lesson, and you can of course drag these out to change them. So you can always adjust your routes, and it gives you the area and perimeter down below. Another great thing you can do is you can share maps, and so you can click, I'm going to get out of my measurement, you can click, and if you click right on the longitude and latitude, it gives you a point. Anytime you have one of these pins, these, or search location will do that too. This allows you to share, which gives you a nice easy link that you could copy and paste into an email or anywhere that you like to share a location on a map. So measurement, great for math lessons, and then sharing map locations, just an easy way to share locations with other people from maps. So that's all the features so far that we're going to look at. So hope you had a great time looking at maps and exploring.